Last night I took a zopicone and a trazodone and 2 quetiapine, 50 milligrams, and a Benadryl, and then some of the vitamins I take. And I slept probably from 9 till 9:30, so I slept 12 hours, which is good. I need that to slow myself down. And when I woke up, I was seeing something in mind about how this works a little bit. Like, my brain wants to work based on perception, action, not thinking about. And if I do work on perception, action, like do one thing for enough and then another, like I did for days, like, which can be going from one friend to another and being in the moment and enjoying the time, or it could be being at home and like doing stuff like that. Perception action speeds up the brain. And when the brain speeds up, it goes further and further into the dimension of light. So then if one is still around the dimension of matter and heaviness, like, for example, a bipolar person living with their parents. Parents have a different worldview. Bipolar people can take many worldviews. So when the brain speeds up, one can get a lot done. But then in order to really, so if I go out and about in the world and I'm perception action, like, I don't know if I'm in matter or light, and other people don't either, and that doesn't matter. But then when I come back home, I'm definitely needing to slow down here. My brain has to slow down because the energy level here is slower. I can get faster here, like I could work on my computer all day and speed up in this environment, but then I would have to slow down like a brain would naturally. And when it does slow down, it can be painful, it can be sad, one can start crying or be moody, because one realizes that one's in the wrong environment. And I think that's why I do better in California. It's like perception, action, and then to come back, the brain has to slow down. So what I'm saying is, it's a little bit different when one takes the environment into consideration, because one could think, oh, well, I'm in a bad mood around my parents, or one could realize it's a slower energy, so the brain has to slow down. And another way to slow down the brain is to sleep a lot, because if one is only awake 12 hours, it can only speed up so much, whereas if one is awake 18 hours, there's a chance to speed up even more through perception and action. So I'm seeing, like, what I've been seeing is the importance of the environment. And it's not only that, because my brain did slow down when I was on the island in a good environment, but I wasn't crying about it, and I wasn't feeling sad. It was fine. So the energy around one makes a difference, because the speeded up brain wants to communicate in a different way, and it sees things differently. So in a way, like with what happened yesterday in doing that remote viewing, my brain sped up too much. So literally my body in this material energy at home could just lay there like a slug, and my brain was seeing light. So the brain was still in the light realm and the body was in the material realm. And then I was realizing if I see stuff that is light when I'm in the material realm, I might say I'm hallucinating. But I was laying there, I could see it in my brain, it wasn't out in the world. So, I can see how these worlds kind of get mixed up. Whereas if someone was in a right environment and say had a shaman, they started seeing things, the shaman would be helping them with what they're seeing, and they would grow in that, and it wouldn't have to be slowed down or misinterpreted or anything like that. So the problem too is that the brain wants to slow down to see more information, to see new, but there's no one to communicate with that with. So we're looking to flower, because I was feeling like, oh, I took a sleeping pill, so now I feel better. But I might have to keep taking them for days and days and days in order to just sleep a lot so my brain doesn't get so sped up. Whereas if I were somewhere else, I wouldn't have to take sleeping pills. So this goes along with what Dr. David Hawkins says about level of consciousness. As the level of consciousness goes up, the need for resources decreases. Like consciousness up, what you need goes down. So if I were to go to like a really beautiful high vibration place, I just need a backpack with a few clothes and things and I'd be fine. But here I need like supplements and things to help me breathe and things to clean the air and things to clean the water and blah 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 blah. Not that I have to have those, but one is trying to find a way for the body to be comfortable here, and it's not. And there's probably more to that, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. So what I'm really realizing is that I might just have to drug myself more this month to slow myself down. And I don't care about that, it's fine. So I might experiment with that, even though anything I say I don't generally do, but I might try and take Seroquel during the day, which I don't think I need it, like I can manage. But, you know, if I were to have to stay here and live here indefinitely, I would have to take more and more medication. I would turn into like, be overweight. I'd be watching TV. I'd just be sitting there. I wouldn't say much. But I have a lot to say, but it's not the right place to say it or to explore it. There's a lot to it, but I was just seeing, because if it's like there's no self, one has to think in terms of speeding up and slowing down, and then that relative to the environment. So it's fine for me to speed up when I go out and about, because it doesn't matter, like it's my world not clashing with others per se. But then when I come back, it's not good to be sped up, because then I get agitated. Like I'm less agitated because I took a sleeping pill and I slept, but that's not a permanent solution that I want. I've never had to take sleeping pills, and now it seems that I do, because I'm more and more agitated more quickly here, because it's not the right environment for my brain. When I was in California last year, I was able to come off the meds and not need any of it for 5 months. And I came back here, and that doesn't work here. Like, here I need meds. Here I need to poison myself to slow down, so it makes sense. So, and this is a bit easier to know, okay, well, there's nothing I can do. I can't fight the environment, and I know that my brain grows back and speeds up really quick, so I don't care about taking extra stuff. So now that I feel kind of slowed down, I'm gonna clean up a bit, because my clothes are all over the place still, my everything, and then I'll go get my car insurance, maybe go in the infrared sauna, shower, like, okay, slow down here, slow down, it's okay, we'll see how it goes. Today I went to the coffee shop and I wanted to write that thing that I have to write to hand in, and my brain has been resisting it. I couldn't do it yesterday. Yesterday I was going to go to the coffee shop and try and do it, but then I decided, no, I'll stay home and try and work on it. And then when I decided to do that, my brain just stopped working, and then I went into remote viewing on the couch. So I just don't think it's good to be here during the day at all, or try to work in this energy. It doesn't really work. Or it's not really working that well now. And I went to the coffee shop and I wrote 11,000 words. There was music playing, people talking, but I was able to write. So usually I would think, oh, I need silence. At least at home it would be more quiet. But no, I don't think I need silence. It's positive energy that I need. And that place has a really, really good vibe. And so it's the vibe, not necessarily the silence per se. You know, the silence of beauty is a good vibe, but beauty in nature is a high vibe. So yeah, that was learning, at least for today. I don't think that can necessarily be superimposed on tomorrow. Like nothing else. Just like yesterday, I was remote viewing, laying there. I managed to get to the park for a walk. I came back from my online group and I was like crying and frustrated. Frustrated from the discontinuity of having a good 4 days with friends and being out and about and going to meetup groups and working and stuff, and then being at home and trying to do something and just totally short-circuiting. And so maybe had I not decided to stay at home and try to do that, maybe I wouldn't have short-circuited. I don't know. So maybe there is a way to stop the discontinuity. But at the same time, it also was because I didn't have a very good sleep on Sunday night. And so last night I took a pill and slept 12 hours and I woke up feeling so much better. So my theory about, sleeping less and trying to participate more in life, I think is flawed here. I need to sleep. I need to drug myself to sleep. If I stay here, I'll have to drug myself more and more and more over time in order to sleep because my body will get habituated to it. So taking this Zopicone isn't the answer because eventually it likely won't work. So if it doesn't work one time and I can't sleep, I could end up in the hospital. And that would really suck. So yeah, I feel like I've switched into being more, you could say, rapid cycling, if you want. But I'm really not attached to the up and down, even though yesterday I was crying and frustrated. I wasn't sad or depressed. I was frustrated because of the discontinuity. But it wasn't a sadness, like a personal sadness. It was a different quality, even though it might not really seem that way. When the brain is sped up and it's in the wrong environment, it can be sensed as frustration. Whereas if I slow down my brain by taking a sleeping pill, sleep for 12 hours instead of 5 or 6, I'm back in blah. And the brain is fine. Taking the poison makes the brain resonate slower, and when it's congruent with the way the energy's unfolding, then it's kind of like water not being aware of itself. So I'm seeing these meds as not it's sad that I have to take them, but as useful tools for slowing down and speeding up. And the stuff that I take and experiencing when I was on the island, taking different doses of trazodone, one time a full one, then half a one, then a quarter, and then back to a full, and then none, and then a full, I realized it doesn't really have any side effects on me right now. I woke up this morning, I felt fine, I don't feel groggy or anything. It seems like the meds kind of do what they need to do, but they don't affect me. I actually feel that it's possible that side effects are the result of the self. That's hard to unfold, but the self is that which feels depressed about what it's experiencing. When what it's experiencing, it's calling it bad, but it's not necessarily bad or good. So if you remove the judgment from it, then it changes in nature. And so that change in nature, I think, is part of what allows one to take the meds without side effects. Because side effects is partly comparing how I was yesterday to how I am today and keeping tabs. And I am keeping tabs by making videos, but I'm not keeping tabs inside. Like, I just listened, when I haven't been listening to my videos at all lately, I just sort of put them together at the end of the day or whenever. But I listened to a bit of my this morning video. I don't remember saying any of that. So there's something that's forgetting, and it's the self that tries to remember. So there's no, like, it's the movement of memory that causes the side effects with the mix of the poison. But if that's not there, it's not really as bad. So in that I don't experience side effects, I'm not really that sad about taking the meds. I actually felt kind of like eating more to gain weight in order to like slow the body down, like make it heavier, make it more like kind of like this world. And it's not like eating more because I'm taking more meds and I have the side effects. It's almost like just trying to slow myself down some way, just like the meds are trying to slow us down. So I don't know what I'm talking about, but right now I'm going to try to go to sleep, and I'm not sure if I'll take a sleeping pill. An experiment would be, I've been writing all day, that speeds up my brain. Can I sleep tonight without a sleeping pill? I doubt it. I should probably just take the pill and play around with not taking it at a different point. But I think taking it and then not taking it helps me not to become habituated to it. Because the brain is waking up no matter how many drugs we throw at it. Can't stop the awakening. So I feel wide awake right now. I've been up since 9. It's going on 11 probably. I feel like I could stay up all night. But that's not good. I need an extra knockout to go into sleep, because the level below this is regular waking consciousness. And so one has to go through that level of regular waking consciousness, which is really sleepwalking, in order to get to sleep. Whereas before, when one's sleepwalking, you just have to get to sleep. So it's hard to, the lower energy state is regular consciousness, and then lower that in order to sleep. But when you're up here, it's hard to sleep. In reality, if more people were in this wakeful state, we would experience the days as a lot longer. So even if I'm awake 12 hours, it feels like I've been awake for like a full 18-hour day. So time dilates, and instead of thinking, where did the day go? There's never a moment when we're not aware and present. And so it's felt in a completely different way. So part of the reason one can't sleep is because time is unfolding relatively differently in my brain and others' brains. Well, it's hard to explain, but it doesn't have anything to do with a person that is mentally ill. It has to do with a higher energy brain state, and we need drugs to slow us down because that makes other people comfortable. Because how we act when we're totally awake is completely different than when we're sleepwalking and being drones in the cog of the machine of society. Hoping for the day when we can be free. I shouldn't get into all that now. It's like irrelevant. So yeah, I hope I can sleep. Oh my gosh, 3.3 hours of tense breathing today when my average is 22 minutes a day. Even though I enjoyed writing at the coffee shop, it obviously was not necessarily physiologically good. Though my breathing is likely faster because my brain's faster, so everything is faster. Could be a sign of speeding up and not necessarily of tension per se. I don't know. You know what just started a second ago, or a few minutes ago? The sound of the Schumann resonance. I totally forgot about it, and then all of a sudden I could hear it. I was like, what the fuck is that? And that's spinning a little bit. I'm moving in a circle again a little bit. My heart. I guess I won't make a problem out of it, but it was kind of nice to be still for a while. What do you want, Schumann resonance? On Sunday at the farmer's market, I got blueberries, purslane, dandelion greens. Since I don't have a kitchen, good dandelion greens. Good purslane. I did raw vegan once for 10 months and once for however long. And I always feel great, so since I've done these things in the past, it's not like I'm trying to think, oh, I need to be raw vegan. I don't have a kitchen. You need a kitchen to be creative with it and keep it going. But I can eat straight purslane, and I can eat straight dandelion greens. Last night I took a sleeping pill to sleep. Slept like a baby. I feel refreshed. I don't feel like side effect-y or anything. Side effect-y. And I'm not taking rhodiola anymore or tyrosine. I might have a little bit of coffee today since I'm gonna probably keep taking the sleeping pill, which I might run out of it at some point. So I need to find a supply. So otherwise I'm just too darn wide awake. So purslane, it's kind of rare to find, but it's one of the, well, it's the highest plant omega-3. So good for you. I love being healthy. I just don't have the right epigenetic matrix. Yesterday, I went to the coffee shop all day and I had coffee and I had tea and I had a Rocky Road bar and I had a wrap, like a Tex-Mex wrap, vegetarian. And then I had a bag of chips. I can't remember if I already talked to myself a bit this morning. I had my counselor appointment and I really like my counselor. I don't want to try to make a pattern, but I feel like I could stay where I am until October when I go to California just for the counselor, which is a pretty bold statement. Or it could be my sense that being able to talk to somebody now that I don't have the mental health system will be helpful. Plus, I'm saying some crazy shit to this counselor. I'm saying I died. I'm saying I transferred from one reality to another. I'm saying all the weird stuff because I think, especially with my trip to the island, my brain is starting to make sense of it and be okay with the story that it wants to tell instead of being afraid of it. And so I'm telling her the truth of all the weird stuff that I've experienced, where if I was talking to a psychiatrist, they'd just be marking off a checklist of symptoms. But she's willing to listen and speak my language and understand that I've done a lot of thinking for myself about all of this. And yeah, she just seems to really understand what I'm trying to say. And it's very, very non-conventional. You know, I said that with a certain event in my life, I had to switch into a state of almost remote viewing in order to see the whole situation, to get myself out of there at the right time. And I said people who get traumatized, they sometimes have these areas of their brain activated in order to sort of save them, and they get saved by the light or the strength that we didn't know we had. So sometimes we'll say, oh, Jesus saved me because it was a strength that was other than what we have ever experienced before. Whatever story we choose to tell is okay, but we're trying to make sense of something that is just insane. And you know, it messes with our sense of doership. If we're able to do that, then what the hell? So I say so many things, and she might give like a standard counseling line. Like she said something about try to realize when you're worrying about the future in terms of like whatever at the end. And I said, I'm quite aware that I need to manifest in this certain way, like in order to be in those certain people's reality, otherwise they wouldn't recognize me and I'd kind of go off flowering into the light and they'd never see me again. So it's partly compassion, like this whole phenomena, like even though it doesn't really feel like compassion, but it is in a way, and it's really complex. So and I'm also feeling more grateful for these medications, like the Zopiclone to sleep, because I do feel better when I sleep more. I don't feel so sped up. I don't feel so... Like when I speed up, I see more, and I see that the situation I'm in isn't right for me, so I want to get the hell out. I want to run. But when I take a pill, I sleep more, so I'm not awake as long. There's not as much to process in a day. It's just sort of like anyone can take a pill and get through almost anything, right? So that's just what I'm doing. And I don't... So maybe I'll be able to show I can drug myself up every night with Zopiclone
Seroquel, Trazodone, Benadryl. And then when I get myself to the right environment, I won't need any of that shit. So, and I was able to do that last year in California. So yeah, maybe I can think about the annoying remote viewing the other day as, you know, maybe whoever it was I was seeing, like all those people I saw, that van, that elevator, that phone, maybe seeing those people in that light, maybe it helps them in some way. I don't know. But I could at least have the intention that if my body is derailed, I'm not able to move, and I can only lay there and sort of look around in awareness. It actually feels like I'm leaving my body. So I think that's what's happening. Because when I'm seeing in that light and then it stops, I come back to my body and I feel a bit of a shock, like, but you know, you could feel that like dreaming and waking up, but this whole not sleeping and you know, if I'm awake laying there looking at dream stuff and then I come back to my body and I'm like that could be a sign of waking up, right? That's a sign we take if we're falling asleep and we can't sleep. It's like, I keep waking up, I keep waking up. Well, I'm not sleeping, I'm laying there looking at stuff, but I keep waking up, and that could mean it does have something to do with some kind of awakening process. I don't know. But it sure isn't linear, and it's sure not accumulative, and it's sure not goal oriented, and it's sure not under my control. So it makes it very inconvenient, and I think I'm kind of surrendering to that, even though I was frustrated on Monday. I feel surrendered today. I guess that's all that matters, is right here, right now, today. And I'm gonna go to a coffee shop and work a little bit more on what I was writing. If I can write 11,000 words in a day, I could write a book pretty darn quick. I just don't do it. So I guess it's not the right time. And I don't know how to write a book, because I learn something, or I feel like I do in my own experience, and the next day it's totally different. So it doesn't really apply. Like, you can't apply this. Life is this. You can't apply something to life. We try to apply something to life and superimpose our will upon the unfolding of life, and that's the mistake. So anything we try to do in that movement is wrong, and I'm to the point where my brain won't even let me do that. So peace out. I was on my way home from a nice evening with my group of friends, and I had a more regular Spire day. 22 minutes tense and 32 minutes calm. That's a lot compared to yesterday when I was writing madly in a loud coffee shop. And so I didn't really want to go home, so it's 8:45, but I'm walking through the park because it doesn't close until 10. And this loop only takes about half an hour, and just wanted to get some nature time, even though I could go home and send off the report I wrote, which I don't know if it's entirely appropriate because I made it quite personal. But I'm feeling like I'm talking more personally lately. Like, I have the counselor, I'm talking to my friends more, and I'm finding it kind of like necessary in a way, because before it's just like everything's fine, and then poof, brain implosion, psychosis, in the hospital, confusion, people visit me, and then out, and then act like nothing happened. So now, since I'm not doing that, it's like talking more, like people talk and they share. And not that the self or my story is important, but I think it helps to keep me grounded in reality, because if I were to be like, this world's not real, it's an illusion, there's no self, there's a magical world based on light and synchronicity, and we can get there if we're just full of love. Nobody wants to hear that shit. They just think I'm nuts when I could talk like that. But I may as well say this is, oh, I'm kind of having conflict here, I'm struggling a bit there, like, oh, today was a good day. You know, kind of like regular conversation. And since I spend so much time with myself in this dialogue, I don't really know how to have regular conversation, and maybe I've never known. I've never really known how to build friendships properly. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just feeling the value of being kind of grounded. Even though my brain is sped up, I'm feeling energy today. Just felt all this love energy and things are happy, whereas I think it was yesterday I couldn't do anything, or the day before, I can't even remember what day. And that's the thing I'm seeing, is that it's not one day accumulates on another. Every day is a new day. So even if I'm talking to myself and it seems like I had a bad day, tomorrow it could be completely different. And thinking about yesterday and trying to compare the days has no value. So yeah, right now I'm seeing the value of sleeping enough. And so I'm thinking, there's this thing I want to go to on Thursday, but I might not get home until like midnight, and then have to wake up at 9 to get to work, and maybe that's not enough sleep. So I don't want to do the whole speed up too much thing again, though I am feeling positive energy. Maybe the sleeping pill is enough to sort of tranquilize my brain enough for the next day. Like, just looking down there, it doesn't look like much on video, but looking at it, it just looks so magical. Like, the depth of it, it's like so beautiful, this one view. Like, there's more beauty there than every episode of every show on Netflix in one instant, right here in this forest. And if you can see that, you've seen it all. And you don't need to seek anything in particular. And I might take this online course with this spiritual master dude I studied with years ago, just so I can meet him. Not because I'm really seeking anything, I'm just kind of curious. I just want to be like, hey, what did you make me go into here? This whole weird reality. And yeah, so, you know, I had the stage of talking to myself in dialogue, had the stage of being mad at the system, and I had the stage of trying to do all these vitamins and stuff, and now I'm like, hey, bring on the pills, I just need to sleep. And the next day, I'm pretty much fine. Doesn't really have a side effect per se, though I am feeling a little bit more thirsty, like, that's about it. So, and tomorrow I have an appointment with a random psychiatrist to get more Zopiclone. So these are the things that can't wait. If there's something that helps me sleep, I can't risk running out of it. So if I have to drive a couple cities over to get to the old mental health office to get that prescription, then I have to do it. And that makes me feel safer, because I haven't been referred over to my doctor yet, and I can't chance it. Because sleep, I think, is the most important thing. If I can sleep off this day and begin again anew tomorrow, then And I did have that bad day, but when I'm not making it a problem, like, oh, because I had a bad day a couple days ago, that means I'm getting worse, or that means symptoms, or that means I'm too up and down, or that means blah, blah, blah. If one's not worried about continuity, then it's not really a problem. And I think that's the difference that's been happening lately, is even though it might kind of appear like I'm bringing a self into the equation by talking to myself, or how I appear when I'm talking to myself, there's not really that sense of self there. There isn't depression or excitement. The self gets depressed. The brain might lose energy, but the self gets depressed about it and starts saying that there's an I that is depressed. But there is no I. So when one realizes that, the brain loses energy, and it doesn't get prolonged because there's no I that is resisting or identifying with that particular state and saying, like, why am I like this when I was fine yesterday? Though I might have said those very words, but it's a different inner experience. So I would hope other people would be able to get to that different inner experience of the supposed outer phenomenon. And it's almost like getting used to rapid cycling in a way, but it just means things are different all the time. It doesn't really mean there's a person that's cycling, and it's not necessarily a problem. It could be a problem if one has a job or something, and I'll get there. I might get one soon, and that might help with routine, which feels more linear, but yeah, so I don't know if I'm saying anything new, but I guess what I was talking about with the stage of the vitamins, now I see, and I've seen, like last year, it is possible to exist with no medication, but it's got to be the right sort of time and place as well. So I know that it's possible, I've done it, but I also know that right now isn't the right time. So right now could actually be the right time to just tranquilize myself. That's the thing too, as one learns that the fundamental reality isn't material, when we're less attached to the material, it's not really as much of a problem. So kind of losing my attachment to, oh my gosh, these are gonna hurt me. Like, nothing can hurt light, can hurt matter. But if we realize it doesn't matter, then it doesn't hurt. So, and of course there's pain and suffering sometimes, but losing the attachment to it changes that. So I think this might be able to help people learn how to function with this type of discontinuity, not making a problem out of it. But yeah, so my next thing would maybe be, and of course anytime I say the next thing, it immediately falls apart. So today, I shouldn't say the next or a pattern, but today, right at this moment, I want to say, I got you, universe, and keep going. You know, having this bipolar or whatever the hell you want to call it on whatever given day, it's kind of like playing a video game where you have thousands of lives, and you start at the beginning of the level and you go, and then at some point you die and you have to go back to the beginning and start again. But you just keep going. You go on a different part. You keep exploring. You keep trying. And you never give up. And the game's never over. But it's not, you keep going and you keep going. It's not a game where you save your position. It's like being back in the old Nintendo before they had like Metroid where you could save your spot. It's like being in the original Mario on the original Nintendo. You got to do the whole game. Once you turn it off, it's over. You got to start from the beginning. Doesn't matter if you were in World 6. You got to go back to World 1-1. And that's kind of what it's like with Bipolar. And sometimes it gets even to the position of that movie 50 First Dates with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, where you wake up in the morning, you don't know who the hell you are. And you gotta look around and start trying to figure it out. And you don't know who you are because you're not a who. You're an energy. You're a state of consciousness filtering through a body, and it changes, and it's like a harmonica, you know? So keep going, and if one day you can't move, just lay still, close your eyes, rest, put your feet up in the reverse waterfall pose, and just look at the light, the images that come into the brain, but don't bring them into the daily life. It's dream stuff. And there is no tomorrow in terms of building an inner self, because there is no inner self. So, but you know, people don't want to know that. So then once one realizes that people don't want to know, you just pretend to be a self too. And you talk about yourself and blah, blah, blah. Maybe, I don't know.
You might not be able to see that, but that is an owl. I love seeing owls. You can hear them. Oh, there's another one calling in the distance.
The other thing I wanted to talk to myself about that I forgot was that today I was trying to get into my account on like the Guru Ashram site or whatever. Wouldn't let me in and made me change my password. And then I was trying to, I didn't have my Giving Assistant password, so I tried to get a new one because it erased the fields that are automatically usually used to sign in. And that said, oops, we can't complete that operation right now. So, like, this weird thing happens usually when there's that shift where, you know, technology makes you reset all your passwords, and it's just weird. It's like a jump in reality or not existing, and sometimes it makes me wonder if one day, like, technology just won't work around me. And it's because our brain is based on the same principles that technology is, like instant messaging, like a text going from someone's phone to mine instantly, like instantly across space and time as if there is no time and space. Well, our brains can do that too when we're connected as one mind. But since we're not connected as one mind, we think we need these phones, but really we don't. So when the brain speeds up so fast, it sort of messes with technology. So it's one of those signs. And it's kind of like, okay, whatever, I'll just do it again. So yeah, that happened today, and it's kind of like, fine, be that way. My computer was being so slow, and when the brain's fast, computers are slow. A couple just stopped me and said, don't go up that way, there's a guy talking about there's a hit on him, and Jesus Christ and everything. And, you know, I've been in that place. So now I'm walking up the road. It could have been the guy I saw before. who talked about Bigfoot. But he said this guy had mud on his face, so if it's the same guy, he's probably, you know, maybe more, you know, I don't want to label anyone, but paranoid or whatever. And there is shit to be paranoid in this world, but this is a park. But all time is now, and everything is always in all space, so you can pick up on it anywhere. Yeah.